So let's go ahead and bring up Nash. Nash is one of our clients. We've been working with him for quite some time. And Nash, if you can explain a little bit about what you do, what your specific offer is. I know you're in the agency space. You have a very unique offer. And from there, I'll drill a little bit deep into some of the things that are currently happening with your specific business. And based on that, a lot of the people who are watching this, they're going to be able to get a lot of value as well for their own business, even though it may be in a slightly different domain. But at the end of the day, the principles, the structure of it is going to be very, very similar. So Nash, if you can go ahead and give a 30,000 foot overview of a little bit of what you do, what your offer is, and yeah, we'll take it from there.
Sounds good. Thanks for the intro, Zara, and glad to be here with you all. What's up, Christian? Nice to see you too. All right, guys. So what I'm currently doing is a DFY model for content marketing. So it's basically a back-end content marketing team for business leaders, coaches, authors.
Recording in progress.
And what I really want to do is basically, I want to 40x the output of content, because a lot of people that we're working with, they don't have enough time to produce content and edit it and post and publish it on different platforms. So we just want to 40x whatever they're producing. And I want to guarantee that they only need to shoot 5 hours of content per month. So for instance, if they're recording 5 hours of content, and if we 40x all of it, they have content for the entire month. So that's what I'm trying to tackle. And Zara, do you also want me to go over the stuff that I'm dealing with right now and what we want to go over on this call, or are you going to take care of that? Let me know.
Yeah, so basically what Nash, you do is you take entrepreneurs who already have a business, right? But they don't have any content out there, right? So you're coming in with a model of where you're going to help them create content without them having to do a lot of the work, right? So is it? I remember you telling me a little bit. Can you explain a little bit of the specific details on how that actually works? Just high level overview.
Sure. So it goes both ways. So you can either be an entrepreneur or a coach or a business leader or an author, whatever. If you have long form content and you're trying to add value, if you're trying to, increase value to get and post more clients, we work with both. And if you're someone who's trying to get into it, we also help with the strategy and planning and with the shooting. We get your setup right and everything. So it goes both ways, and we just want to maximize everything that they're creating. Now, we did have a slightly different offer when we started. It was specifically for people as individuals. It was more B2C, like individuals who have a 9-to-5 job and they're looking for a side hustle. So we wanted to work with those people, but it wasn't that great. So we had to switch up the offer to work with a specific group of people.
Okay, let's go a little bit deeper on that, right? Number one, who are your main competitors who are already crushing this specific model? Because to me, it seems like it's a little bit of correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems maybe you're a little too new or a little bit earlier than most people. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, for sure. I've been feeling that way, and most people that I know that are in the space, they're not looking at it as an agency model. They're like freelancers who made it big. For instance, they have their own content pages, but they're not working according to an agency model. I do know people, media scaling is one of them, and one of these guys, one of these females, I'm forgetting her name. I think her name is Gianna Tabria. I'm sorry if I got that name wrong. But in terms of speaking of mass model, I still don't see it. I still don't see enough ads. Like, people market themselves as a short form agency, and they just want to chop up your content.
So
but we want to provide the full service.
Yeah, for sure. So pretty new overall. Do you know roughly what some of the numbers they're making, or you don't really know? You just have seen their marketing in the past.
I've just seen their funnels and some of their marketing.
Okay, got it. So the reason why I bring that up, man, is you don't want to be in a spot. I mean, you can, but there's always going to be a level of education. If something's very new, you're going to have to spend your hard-earned marketing dollars just on the education of why this is actually even worth it for someone. Right. So this is one of the reasons why we not only, tell all of our clients, like, I'm not really in a state where I want to invent something or I want to be one of the first few people. Like, I'm not really interested in that. I'm not saying that that's not a model that can work, but for me, it's just there's a lot more risk. And the reward, is usually a little bit smaller. Instead, I want to be like in the first 1/3 of the wave. Right. So whenever the market is adapting. So for example, where you're headed, I feel like you're maybe a little bit too early, to be very honest with you. I think it's the future, though, because like this is literally something that we as a company, we're also doing. exactly. And even on this call, like this is something we're doing, right? We're trying to showcase like how content and getting other people to see and like and trust and character, all that cool stuff, right? So it's something that we're also now just starting into, even though we've been in this space for like 8 years, right? So I feel like potentially you could be slightly earlier, and it seems like you agree with me here. So instead, what we can do is slightly pivot off something that's already a little bit older, but something that's already proven, right? Someone who's already making the revenues that you want to make, and who's already at the spot that you want to get to, but just packaging that specific offer a little bit unique, right? That's all. That's kind of like what I'm thinking of doing. So if you can run through some of the numbers, and if you can run through some of the stuff that you've seen, you spent about what, $4,000 on ads, right? You can,
Yeah, that's right.
Nash, if you want, you can even like share your screen, and like we can even drill deep a little bit into the specific numbers and stuff that you sent me.
For sure.
And for the rest of you guys watching this, I hope you guys are getting a lot of value. And at any point, just go ahead and drop a 1 down below if you guys have any questions at any time, and we'll make sure we get to everyone here based on some of the things that we're talking about here. Perfect. So overall, what was it? $4,000 you spent, right?
Gotcha. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So I spent $4,000 as of today. I slightly slowed down the spending because I was spending about 100 a day. So I just dialed it back to 40s because I want to tweak my offer as we discussed earlier. So this is a total. So I told you I had a slight pivot from the start, right? So I started with B2C people, like individuals who wanted to side hustle as a content creator, and now I pivoted into B2C. So this is a mix of both the offers. So that's why. So B2B is one offer,
Real quick,
and
for the people who
aspiring
may be a little bit newer, who don't know what B2B or B2C is. So B2B is business, so meaning you as a business. B2C is business to consumer, which is someone who doesn't have a business yet. They want to launch a business. And B2B is people who already have businesses, right? Existing businesses. So these are two different types of audiences. And for some of you guys who have your own agencies as well, some of you guys are going after B2C people, right? I know there's a couple coaches here as well. So a lot of the coaching offers that you guys may have, you're probably going after people who don't really have a coaching offer and they're looking to step into it, which means that you're selling to the B2C market, which is a very different market than B2B. Right? It's neither as good or bad. There just are. It's just a matter of how you position certain things and how you communicate, in certain ways to each of the two different markets. So yeah, go ahead, Nash.
Yeah, absolutely. So B2B is one bucket, and aspiring and assistant creators is one bucket. It's just an internal segregation I have to work on because some B2C people that were applying already were creators. So I just wanted that internal segregation on my side. So over like 4,100 spent, we had a total of 101 form submissions. Form submissions does not equal to calls booked because those were 79. So my funnel works in a way that they have to fill out a form, and then it takes them, after they fill out the form, it takes them to my calendar scheduler. So out of those 101 forms,
the form, what does it entail exactly? What are some of the questions?
Just basic info like their name, number, email, what niche they're in, have they produced content before, and if they're really in for it. Like this is the last question as a qualifier. Like, do you really want to change? Do you really want to like take your content to the next level this year? So a qualifying question like that. I kept it super simple and sweet because I don't want to like bore them or tire them out. So
yeah. Can you pop open your funnel real quick?
Sure.
So you're not collecting any name, number, email. So how are you collecting leads? It seems like you're not collecting
leads.
I am. Oh, you are. Okay.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I am.
Perfect. So you're collecting a lead, and then from there, they submit a form, and then they book in a call, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Got it. Okay.
So it's just someone else.
Okay, really good right here. Go up a little bit. I just want to showcase everyone else. Like, there's a really good call out here, right? Business leaders, coaches, authors, and podcasters, right? This is kind of like the people that he's going after. The only thing that I would recommend here is maybe there's like 4 different people. Maybe it's a little too much. If you can try to make it 2 or so, it's a little bit better. I mean, the headline's a little bit too long, but it's not bad at all. I also really like the 10 to 50K, like the what do you call the yellow pieces.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty solid. So add 10 to 50K minimum to your bottom line with viral short form content scaled by 40x. So people, one thing I'll just say is if these people are just coming in brand new, they may not know what scaled by 40x is, right? Like you're using your unique mechanism. I would personally try to shy away from this at this point. Like the headline is just the what's the last thing that they're gonna get? What's the big promise that you're making for them? You're not really necessarily talking about your unique mechanism. That is something that you're gonna talk a little bit about in the funnel or in the specific video, right? Like you can, for example, for us, it's like our $1 million agency system is blah, 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 right? Where I really don't want to put that inside of the headline because it's going to confuse some people. And this is like when someone comes in here, they're just looking at the headline. They're like, okay, do I want this or not? If they get a little confused, man, they're gone, right? So just a quick little note. I personally just make it the big high level promise of when you work with me, this is exactly what you're going to be getting, right? And if you guys, and Nash, if you have a conditional guarantee, usually this is somewhere where we want to put it, right? If you don't have a guarantee, no worries, but it's just a high level promise of what they're going to be working with you on, right? All right. Because this could technically make people live.
Yeah, that makes sense because a lot of people when they do hop on call, they're like, I don't remember what it's for, so and they don't have clarity. I just want to know what it's about. So you're right on that.
Completely. And people don't want to think, right? Like when they look at some of these things scaled by 40x, they read it, they're like, oh, I don't know what that is, and that's it. Like they just tune out. Right. So we want to be so direct where they're like, okay, black and white. This is what I'm getting. Right. Capturing these people's attention is like, it's so much harder than most people can ever even think. Right. Yeah. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's listen to the VSL real quick.
Accidentally clicked the home. So
do you have your ads by any chance first? So that way we can all see like the way someone actually comes in and then the next phase. Yeah, let's do that first.
Yeah, let me do that first.
Perfect.
Let me do that first.
You guys getting value, guys? Everybody else? Awesome. Seeing a lot of head movements. Love it. Adam Fleeman's in the house. Nice to see you, man. By the way, just a little side note, Nash is the one who is also editing his, because he has this agency. So we're also using him to edit a little bit of the videos from the time that we met here in, when you came out to Arizona. So there's going to be a couple teasers that you'll see. That's done from him. We have a couple different teams that are on it, but yeah, we use Nash as well for that. And by the way, any other clients, like whoever wants to use him for like short form, or if you guys want to have like a referral thing set up, right? That's one of the things that we do is like, you guys can use each other, right? Some people, like for example, Adam is pretty big in the credit space, right? Like he has his own credit card processing company. So it's like, some people can also use his services, right? So it's like, we want to build this type of community where we're using each other's help and, we're all rowing in the same direction. Cool. Nash, you got the ads up?
Appreciate the shout out.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, appreciate the shout out. Let me just pull out the. Can you see the ads right now, or which can you see at the moment? Let me just pull out the. Yeah, I'm just trying to separate it because I have a video ad going on and another one. So let me just preview the static ones first.
So what we're gonna see here is because Nash seems like he has a pretty big problem with his no-show. Right, his show rate is 17 point something, which is really low. For B2B, you want to be around 70 to 80-ish%. The only caveat to this is right now, the past maybe I'd say about 6 weeks or so, something's been happening in the industry. Where it usually is ebbs and flows, right? So something's been happening. I don't know if it's a weather change or things just happen where the show rates are pretty low. And then, maybe in a few months they go higher than they usually are, right? So it's usually just an ebbs and flow. Right now we are at an ebb, just FYI. We're also struggling. Everybody like in the space is struggling with show rates. So that's just a quick note for the people who also are like, man, what's happening? These people aren't showing up. Just know that you're not alone. All right, cool. All right, let's take a look at this ad. Attention business leaders. Okay. And is this the B2B angle or the B2C angle?
B2B. I've completely stopped the B2C angle for now.
Okay, so we're looking at B2B. Chris, so struggling with the show rate, right? So like when someone books in a call, people aren't showing up and this is across all industries, especially B2C. Like for B2B, it's not as bad. Like most of you guys are, B2B side. Yeah, it's the show rate that's kind of tanking. So for example, for us right now, we're at like a 45%. We're supposed to be at about a 65%. Right. So like everyone who books in the call, we get about a 45% show rate. So we have to make some adjustments on our end when it comes to the marketing side. And this is something that the ads can also help, right? Because it's a whole ecosystem. A lot of times what people think, the reason why I want to bring up the ads first before we look into like the sales process is because the context of how someone comes in really matters as well, right? It's not just about like the specific sales process. It's about the context of how someone comes in. So that's why we want to take a look at the ads. If the ads are very curiosity based, or if they're in a way where it's not very direct, then you're less likely to show up to that call, right? Because these people usually they're going to forget, or they're the context they came in from wasn't the right one, right? Does that make sense? Guys?
Zrar?
Yes.
I was gonna just chime in for like a second because I have experience with that. So for me, what's worked for me for getting people to show, because my show rate is very, very high. I would say my show rate when people book calls is probably like 80% or more than that. My show rate. And the way I get the rate so high is what I do is when they give me the information for the discovery call, before we even have the Zoom call, I call them first. And basically every single time I've had somebody answer the phone, they've shown. If I don't get the initial first call, if I don't get the first call, 100% of the time they don't show. Like every time that I call somebody before the Zoom call, if they don't answer, they don't show for the call. But every single time that they've called, I've reached them before the meeting, they've come.
100%. Yeah, that's something that we're going to also discuss a little bit of like what the sales process is going to look like. But let's take a look at the marketing. So attention business leaders, add 10 to 50K to your bottom line with organic done for you content, which means you don't have to block your calendar out to produce content. It's completely done for you. Just one thing, just a real small little tip. It's like, this is a little too cloggy. People, again, it's like two lines, maybe three max, and just like try to like position things, especially the second sentence, right? The second paragraph is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 different. I personally do like 3. Again, it's the attention span. It's like the only purpose of your ad copy is this. You're selling them to read the next line. That's it, right? So when you see attention business leaders, it's like the only thing we're trying to do here is we're trying to stop the scroll. Once we're able to stop the scroll, we want them to read the next piece of the next line, and then the next line, and then the next line, right? And then until we get to the link, it's like we're carrying them up to the mountaintop. We're using our words. So if we clog it up here, then that's when people start to when they start spending money, they're like, why am I not getting traction? Where's the leads at, right? Like all these things start to happen. So just a quick little note. Try to make it like 2 lines, 3 lines max is what I would do. So let's skim this. The creator economy is set to grow into right here. Second line, the second paragraph. What is this? The creator economy is set to grow into a $500 billion behemoth by 2027. Do you have the funds to educate people? Or are you just, you know what I mean? Like you're using your precious marketing spend into just education, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about you personally. I would want someone else to do that, right? Rather than
for sure. No.
You know what I mean? It's like
that makes sense.
You're gonna have a cost to doing this. You're educating them.
For sure.
You're making too many sales, right? Like you're making a sale when you don't really have to, unless you choose to, right? Like again, it's like your business. Personally speaking, I probably wouldn't want to sell someone into like, oh, this is a new model, and then coming in. You know what I mean? Of like, okay, now here's why I'm the best. It already costs a lot. It's already very, very difficult to convince someone to go with you versus number one, educating them into something completely different that they have no idea about. And then after that, coming into saying, oh, I'm the best option. Good luck with that. That's tough, right? Not to say it's not possible. It is. And usually though, I will say it's like usually the people who are innovators, right? When you're first starting off, I'd shy away from being an innovator too soon, right? I want to first get my name out there. I want to first get the brand up, right? Like the Hermosi, that guy. Now he can be an innovator. He already has a huge brand. Anything that he says, he has a big well of an audience that anything he says, people are going to be like, oh, cool. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of like small little things that kind of go into these types of angles where you're educating someone into something. And this could be a part of the reason why the show rate is like, man, it's like it's a little, it's tanking, because maybe this is the first time they're ever hearing something like this. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay. Yeah, I just like slightly modify it into what most people currently know, and then just make that a little bit make they should already, like, the way I view marketing is like they should already be sold on like the method or the vehicle. Like, okay, got it. This is what it is. And then you come in with an angle where they've never thought of it like that. It's like, oh, that's very unique. I know what the method is. I know this thing works. I've seen my friends, I've seen all these people do it. But this guy, what he's saying is like, I've never heard this thing before. That's the curiosity that we can go after. Rather than using that curiosity in the vehicle first. You see what I'm saying? Slight, small little difference, but it's the small hinges that swing the big doors. Yeah?
Gotcha.
Cool. So that's an angle that I would, kind of do. So what I would encourage you to do, action items, like write an ad copy based on what your audience already knows and already believes, and then coming in with an angle. Because again, one last thing I'll say, and this is also for the sales calls, everything you say, this is a rule, golden rule of sales. If you believe this, you're going to make a lot of money. Everything you say is alive to them. Everything they believe is the truth. Does that make sense? Like, they don't know what they don't know, and you're coming in as a stranger, expecting them to believe what you have to say. That's a very hard thing to do, right? So
For sure.
just go off of the things they already know and just slightly position it a little bit different. That's the smallest little thing that I'll say that can just bring in a lot of cash for you. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move on to any questions on this specifically, or are you good?
I'm good with this. I just wanted to go over, if you can skim through this one as well. So this is a second variation of the ad copy that I'm using with the video ad that I have. Do you want to quickly go over this as well?
Yep. Some of your favorite entrepreneurs just said they spend $70K a month on content creation. This is pretty good. It's the first line slightly still a little bit. It's a good. I love the angle. It's just not as direct as I probably want it to be. When it comes to like, this is who you are, right? I want to come in with like a hammer, man. Like, instead of using, so what happens with this? This is I think this is a pretty solid ad. It's just like when you start scaling, when those ads start to deteriorate, or like the people have already seen them so many times. And I'll tell you guys, it takes a lot of money for that to actually even happen. You just have to crack one ad. Like, truth be told, we're still running pretty much the same ad. We have like 2 or 3 that we're kind of testing, but we still have the same ad that's up there, and that's already like, we don't have to make any changes really. All we have to do is like just give it to a different audience. That's all the media buying that we do. And Nash, I think I showed you even our own ad account. It was like so simple. Two campaigns. Yeah, there's nothing to it, right? But we got the product market fit based on that one ad because it's so aggressive and it's so direct. And for all the clients here as well, like, I've literally broken our own ad down, put it inside of the curriculum. Like, you guys can just go ahead and duplicate it. Just please don't copy and paste it word for word. Make your own slightly modified, but just go ahead and use it, right? It's a very good ad that works. But all right, is this another one that you want me to read?
No, those are the 2 that I was testing.
Cool. But yeah, let's move on to the landing page.
Gotcha.
Rifat, so how long did it take you to test to get to that point? What do you mean exactly? Like, for that ad to work, or?
Yeah, you're saying that your ad account's pretty simple now, and you guys have it dialed down to a couple of ads that really work well. So how long did it take you guys to be able to get to that point with all the testing that you had to do?
Okay, so this answer is going to be very, I don't want to make this like the baseline, but honestly, it was the first ad. But it's very rare that would ever happen. But it's the first ad for this specific offer that we had. We had a slightly different offer. And Nash, the stuff that I'm telling you is literally what we also struggled with as well. When we made some of these small little adjustments, that's when we had this specific ad and just like cracked, right? So it was the first ad. But chances for that, for most people, it's very rare for the first ad to work. I will say usually what I've seen is like maybe 4 or 5 different variations, and then things start to work. But you don't have to wait too long. Like you can start seeing some of the soft stats. And actually, you can even like take a look at your ad account. Like after, let's quickly take a look at the landing page. From there, we can open up the ad account, and then we'll talk a little bit about the sales process. And Rifat, like we can go over some of the numbers that I would see to determine if this ad is, if I want to continue to run that ad or if not, before making sales, right? Because like most people don't have thousands and thousands of dollars to blow. So you can probably get some of the same stuff done for just maybe like $100, $200, and get a good sense of what the market is saying. All right.
Sweet. So,
go.
Do you want to go back to the landing page?
Go to the landing page. So this is the context. Again, the context matters, right? So when someone sees an ad, the next thing, what do they see, right? And a lot of times when we're as entrepreneurs, we create some of these things. We think it looks really good, but it's we think of it from our perspective. So we want to make sure everything flows really smooth from the ad to the landing page and forward, right? That's what's going to get these people to help them show up to the call, and not only show up, but have the right context, right? So let's go ahead and play the VSL, please.
Sweet.
Can't hear it, but I can see it.
Sorry?
I can hear it. I mean, I can't hear it. I don't know if you guys can.
No, there's no audio on
Okay,
it.
no worries. We'll just read the captions. It's all good. We'll just
Sweet.
Can you restart it? Like just refresh it.
I don't think it's going to restart.
No, to refresh the page.
Oh, to refresh?
Yeah. Hold up. Pause this real quick. What did you say here? You said if you don't want to add 10 to 50K with short form viral content, then close this ad?
Yeah.
So
Close this ad right away.
Okay, so this means that you're trying to get someone who's already aware of this specific thing, of what we just talked about, right? Like they're already aware of
Pretty
short
much.
form content is the way. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So can you see like how most people wouldn't know this? Yeah, there's a few people, but what's the TAM on that, right? What's the total addressable market that knows that short form is the way, is the future? It's not that much.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Right there is where you're kind of screwing yourself without even really knowing it. I feel like you're just ahead of your time, man. Right? Like, yeah, there's people out there, but what's the chances of them? And usually people who know of this, they're usually pretty smart. And for the most part, they may already have their own team. They may, you know what I mean? Like we're in a spot, we want to be at an intersection, right? Of like, people know what it is. For example, let's take a look at our offer, digital marketing agencies. Everyone online knows or has some sort of understanding of like, yeah, agency. I mean, Ty Lopez really blew it up. And that's one of the reasons why we have stepped into this. Like we could have went into a different business model, right? As well. We knew that a lot of our competitors did the heavy work for us. They've run the ads. I view our competitors as our business partners. They know a digital marketing agency, right? So people know, but they don't necessarily have it themselves. Perfect. That's an intersection that I want. You see what I'm saying? So this is the way we need to start thinking of our marketing. Instead of creating something new from scratch and then selling them on to, man, that's a very hard thing to do. So right there, I think this is a very, man, like in 2 years, I think you can run this exact thing and this thing can probably crush. I feel like it's just a little too ahead of its time. I know we have a couple of our team members here as well, Christian, Chris, Kyle. If you guys have any other feedback, go ahead and chime in. But that's my take.
So I want to add one thing is an analogy, right, is of how we don't want to build something new. Think of it this way, everyone knows Tesla, right? Before Tesla came, no one had electric infrastructure for electric cars. right? And no one had electric cars as well. But the moment Tesla started putting up not only electric cars, but also infrastructure, right, to make it easy to recharge, everyone started popping up because they were taking advantage of Tesla's infrastructure. If there was no infrastructure, pretty much all the big companies probably wouldn't try to do it, right? And it wouldn't be successful. So we don't want to be a Tesla. We want to be the companies that are already taking advantage of all the Teslas beforehand, if that makes sense to everyone.
100%. Yep. Cool. All right. So let's try to work with what we have now, right? So it's like you already have this ad. I'm not saying it can't work because some of your numbers are actually not too bad. Like I saw that your cost per lead, cost per booked call, and we can try, like we can farm it. You spend $4,000. Like the last thing I want to do is like waste that money. And there's money sitting there because you're getting traction. It's just these people, maybe they're slightly confused. Maybe they're coming in from the right, as we already discussed, right? So it's like, that doesn't mean that it's a fail, right? It's like, there's booked calls here, right? You're getting calls booked in for like, what, $49 a pop, right?
Right.
So there's money sitting there. And how many calls have you gotten so far?
How many calls that I've gotten on so far?
No, how many calls overall have you gotten for $49 a pop?
So around 79, but the show up rate again. For those.
Yeah, it's just show up rate. So, I mean, if I was you, I would not waste that $4,000 that you just spent. That's a lot of money, right? And 79 calls, there's money sitting in your pipeline. There's money, and you just need to position yourself in the right way. What I would do in this specific situation is like you're collecting emails, right? And phone numbers.
Yeah.
I would make videos specifically explaining what the opportunity is. Specifically only selling them on why short form content. For example, if you want to squeeze your maximum dollar per lead, you already paid for the lead, right? And you can go into the statistics, you can go into all these things. It's just pure education, right? Since you've already spent that money, I would personally, that's the angle that I would use, and then heavily market it to your, email marketing. You can even have a Facebook group attached to it. You can send a blast of like, hey, go ahead and join my free private Facebook group of like-minded individuals. You can go live in there. Very similar to kind of like even what I do, and just really sell them only in on the vehicle of like, this is the quickest, fastest, most efficient way for you to make money, right? And then just educate them a little bit. And then from there, the next logical step is like, oh, cool, I'm sold onto that. Then the next logical step is like, okay, I'll book in a call with you, and then basically what you're doing is you're just selling them on you. That's what it is, right? So if I was to try to save this, that's the angle that I would personally use, is just educating, because $4,000, man, that's a lot of money. If you spend like $200-300, then maybe we can pivot. But if you wanna take more, because like I said, there's a lot of money sitting in your pipeline right now, and you don't even know it, right? What do you think on that?
Gotcha. No, I totally agree, because a lot of people that I did speak to were the ones that I could get hold of. I think even if the slightest offer, I know we had this conversation about pricing and stuff too. They can definitely, be reached out to in a different way to close, or just to like reactivate, I guess.
Yeah, so like 50% of people will buy in the first like few weeks, and the other 50% usually are going to buy like 6 months later, right? And again, it's the market's shifting, right? Back in like 2012 or so, people can buy like right away, but there's a big trust factor, right? I know Team J&J, we were talking about this last week on our mastermind meeting. Most people, they've been burned in the past, right? And they're like very skeptical, and the only way to get them is from content, right? Which is like, you're in the perfect place. It's just people don't understand that part. Right. So, yeah, that's what I would say. So, all right, cool. So let's take a little bit deeper look into this. So you've gone, how many calls? 79 booked calls, and the show up rate was 14. Yeah.
Right. So, look at this over here in the sales sections. I've sort of broken it down in terms of like how many calls were scheduled. So the first one here is offers made. Against like the total number of book calls that I have. So book calls are not show ups exactly. So I've broken it down into book calls versus actual calls. All right. So in reality, the actual show up rate against the book calls was 17.72%.
Yeah, this is supposed to be, 60-70% is you probably want to be. So you're about a third lower, right? So let's take a little bit deeper look now into your sales process specifically, right? So when you get a lead or when you get a booked call,
Mhm.
can you tell us a little bit of what exactly happens when someone books in a call? Perfect.
Yeah, for sure. So, pretty standard Calendly sequence. It's a 5 step process. Like, first one is an immediate call confirmation, which Calendly automatically sends, right? So, 15 hours prior, I have this workflow set up in which it requires someone to reconfirm call. So they have to click the reconfirm. That's 15 hours before the call. Then 6 hours prior, we have a call reminder by email, and then we have 2 final texts. One is 3 hours and one is 15 minutes prior. So that's what we do, and this is the first email that goes out.
So
15
one
hours.
second, how far can they book in?
3 days, I think. 3 days. Yeah. 2 to 4 days. 4 days max.
Have you tried 24 hours?
I have not. No.
Okay. We've seen, especially for B2C, after 48 hours, the 4 days rule is usually for B2B, right? Even that is like kind of pushing it. But it's like,
Right.
there's something called like calendar efficiency. When you're on your calendar, you're not fully clogged up. Your calls are, they're not very heavy. Just make it 24 hours. Like they're way more likely to show in 24 hours because every day they're seeing about 3,000 to 4,000 different ads per day.
Yeah.
And the human brain can only handle so much, right? They forgot about it. So maybe like one of the biggest swings could potentially be 24 hours, right? Oh, life got in the way. Exactly. 24 hours. All right. So immediate call confirmation. All right. And this goes in from your Calendly or from your, I know Google also sends a notification, right? Do you know, have you seen, do you get both notifications or just one of them?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
So when someone books in, right?
Mm-hmm.
When someone books in a call, it usually goes to their Google Calendar as well, right? Is that notification also right away, or does that happen? Is that tag set up right away or not?
No, it goes by Calendly through my email.
Okay.
So they have to accept it for it to go onto their calendar.
Got it.
Yeah.
So when you booked in, when you did a test email, how many notifications did you get right away? So as soon as someone books in, how many, is it just one or is it multiple?
I get 2 emails. One is for the job form, like the form submission, and another is from Calendly.
No, as a user. So the reason why I'm asking this is because if we do too much, so we had this same problem happening with us, is we were also sending, so we use OneSub, right? Very similar to Calendly. We're using OneSub, they're getting notification, but then right away, they're also at the same time, they're getting the Google notification as well, right? They're getting 2 now. User experience is man, the client's okay, I just booked in, I'm getting these 2, and then the more, if we're too heavy on that, they just get turned off. Right, and sometimes we get people man, stop sending me those emails. So we had to take a look, and our show rate increased by 4% just from turning off that one tag. Right. If you guys can go ahead and mute yourself, please. Whoever's typing. Okay, cool. All right, so 15 hours. Okay, so if someone books in 4 days in advance, there's nothing that they're getting up until 15 hours. Is that correct?
No, so they get the immediate call confirmation, and if they sign up, I text as well. Yeah, and then after that, it's 15 hours before the call.
Okay, so I would just make it 24 hours, man. Let's do 24 to 48 hours max. Let's do that, and let's take a look at the email. I hope you're doing great. This email. You wrote this yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, one thing I'll just add in is you want to give them a context of what that meeting was for. Chances are they're not only booking this call with you, they're booking in with multiple other people. We have people show up to our calls oh yeah, this is the e-commerce thing, right? We're no, it's not, right? So at every point, it's being very intentional about every small little detail of I noticed for example, and this is not, I'm not saying this is, you have to follow this exactly. Personally, I would slightly modify this instead of saying, I hope you're doing great. I hope they are, but that's not something that I would start off with. Is I noticed you booked in with me, right? It's that leader from the first message, it's that leadership frame. I noticed you booked in with me, not the other way around.
Gotcha.
Right? So now they're like, oh, I booked in. Okay, like this must be important. Right? And now they can start reading. It's like, okay, this is in regards to, for example, for us, it's like this is in regards to you launching your own digital marketing agency and seeing if we're potentially the right partners for you. Right? Again, we're pulling the offer away. Pull it away. Right? Get their buy-in, get their interest higher. And rather than just saying, be very logical of like, are you available for this time? Like, you know what I mean? It's just a one sentence thing, right? Small, but these small hinges swing the big doors. All right.
Sweet.
All right, cool. Let's move on to the next one. 6 hours before. Yeah, it's very just like, this is the event, this is the time, show up, right? And what you can also do, Nash, is do you have a pre-call video or no?
I do not.
For you, I think it'd be huge. Just explaining what the opportunity is, right? You can give them examples and like, I know you're really, really good at what you do, but you know, even me, remember how like first you told me and then like we had a call of like, you actually explained what your offer was and I was like, whoa, this is wild. And this is me being in the industry for like 8 years. We've seen so much. And even I was like, okay, like, man, this is way, you know, bigger and better than I actually even thought. It really got my attention. I was thinking about it for the next few days, right? So you got my attention like that.
Sure.
But if we're not doing something like this for these people, you know what I mean? Like let's just make that one video, 20, 30 minute long video that just explains what the vehicle is. And for every single email, you can just attach it, right? P.S. Make sure you watch this one video, just one thing that you want them to watch, not 100 things, just one specific thing, right? And in that video, again, I'll show you the whole breakdown of what it is. It's just selling them on the vehicle, not you, right? What you're going to sell, like when you hop on a call with them, you're going to sell them on yourself, not the vehicle then, right? So one sale at a time only that we can usually make.
Gotcha. I've only had second thoughts about the whole idea of a pre-call video at the risk of like not looking too spammy or scammy. So that's why I avoided pre-call videos. Because I don't know, like, I don't remember the last time like I opened my email. And this is me only because I'm a pretty direct guy. If I want an email, I want the details and info. And that's pretty much it, right? So maybe you have a better reasoning for that in terms of like me watching videos, like me as a person, like me being myself, watching videos through an email. Like, just wanted some insight about that.
Are you open to a different perspective on that?
Yeah, definitely.
That's a limiting belief because what you do is very different than there's so many different types of people. Like, and I'm like what you do, that's who you are. That's your buyer language. There are so many different types of people. There's people who are email people. There's people who are only video people. There's people who read only things. There's people who are SMS people. There's people who are Facebook group people. Like, they're not the same, right? There's so many different types of individuals. So that's why even the landing page, remember, I know we had a conversation about that, is like, we don't only want to have a video there because there's people who are like, no, I want to read. Personally speaking, myself, I'm more of a visual, like, I love to just watch something. I don't really want to read.
Gotcha.
But then there's other people who are like, no, I don't want the video. I want to read it. And vice versa. Right. So let's hit both sides of the brain, right? Let's hit both of these things. And honestly, that's just a limiting mindset there. When it comes to that, you know, you got to give these people the right type of context for them to have that interest to show up to the call. And especially since you're taking the calls yourself, your close rate is like, if they come in from the right context, you're closing almost everyone who's closable, even if you don't have the sales skill sets. Like, that's the beauty about this, is like when you're first starting off, because you're in the face, they saw you in the ad, they saw you in the middle of like after they booked their call, and then now they see you on the thing. Oh man, like you've celebritized yourself, right? Like you're it's consistency bias, right? Even if they don't like you, it doesn't matter. Consistency bias is huge. Like, they see you so many times, they're just like automatically they're like, oh, this guy's probably the real deal, right? That's the only thing that we're trying to do. Yeah.
Yes, Gerard, can I ask something real quick?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, Nash, we want to do everything that we can, controlling wise, leading up to the call that we can to build that trust. And I think sending videos, if you make it human, and you're confident, that's everything, right? Now, that client still may not show up, but you've done everything you can to control that. A mindset that I teach, I think Gerard's kind of preaching here, is almost see yourself as like a doctor, and you have clients coming into your office. They're here for a specific reason. They need their problem solved, and you offer the goods for that. When you have that mindset, you're no longer trying to chase leads, they're coming to you. You're here to solve a problem, and you don't have to be super like wishy-washy or like iffy. Just be yourself, man. Be confident with that. Does that make sense?
It does. And definitely what really what really made sense was like some people want to read content, some people want to watch content.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I can definitely add it.
And if you don't mind, let me piggyback on what Kyle said. Sorry, I'm new here, but basically, in my insurance practice, once I started doing what Kyle's preaching right now, and Zerar's preaching as well, my show rate skyrocketed.
Yep.
So if I have a time where I'm less than 90% show rate, because in my mind I'm like that doctor, like I'm there to solve that problem that they have. If I'm less than 90% show rate, then I'm doing something wrong, and I lost that.
100%, John.
Yep.
Sure.
Cool. And then Jordan says, I only allow 48 hours. I get a great show rate, like more than 80%. Yeah, it's really good. And again, it's like calendar efficiency. When you start booking in a lot of calls, then you can go up to the 4 days. It's like, okay, now we have to go up to 4 days. And then you can even start double booking. It gets pretty interesting when you really start getting a lot of calls. But in the beginning, it's like, cool, let's just allow 24 hours, right? If you're struggling with the show rate, right? If you're not, then you can allow like 48 hours, because there's also that factor of like people, maybe they're busy that day, right? So it's like there's a lot of small little details that go into just the calendar efficiency part, especially when you start operating at a big scale. So Bianca says, show to confirm. I understood. Show rate increased by removing redundant email reminders from Google. Absolutely. It's like too much of something, too much salt is like, man, I'm good. I don't want that food, right? It's the same exact concept. They get turned off. And we had so many different emails. I mean, we had a limiting mindset as well. It's like, oh, let's send people all these different videos. Let's send people all these different things. And we were like, what's happening, right? We realized like what happens if you send too much stuff to people, especially like videos wise, they're like, oh, I'll just figure it out on the call. Now they come in with zero context. Instead, that's what Nash was telling you about, remember? One video.
Yeah.
Your whole marketing after, again, you're doing marketing to get them on a call, right? Number one, you're doing marketing to have them book in a call. Once they booked in, now you're doing the marketing to make sure they show up to the call, right? And that marketing is just one thing, right? And like, even if you look at your Facebook ads, for example, you don't want to be like, oh, you have to do 17 different things to be able to get the results. Like, people are going to be turned off. People are lazy. They want one thing, right? So it's like, that's why it's just one. It's the power of one. You just have to watch this one video that's going to explain, right? Super simple.
Right.
Simplify it as much as possible. Cool. All right. Let's
Gerard,
I
have a question for you, and I think Jordan as well, because Jordan mentioned like an 80% show up rate. So do you guys also, like Gerard, call people immediately after the book just to get a confirmation before?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The
that's the next thing that I'm going to cover. So I'm taking a look at your notifications, and then the next thing.
Cool.
Yeah. So your event. All right. Perfect. Let's go down. We already covered this. It's just too logical. One sentence of like what it is about, right? Just a little bit of personalization goes a long way.
Sweet. Gotcha.
This is a quick reminder for your event. Again, you see this? It's like a bot. This is one of the reasons why we want to kind of shy away from having like these automated emails. We do them, but we still personalize them pretty heavily. So I think I've sent you, I don't know if I remember this correctly or not. I think I sent you over our notifications.
You did.
Yeah. So you can just like model that, right? So cool. And is this it, or is this something else?
Yeah, that was it.
What are you doing in SMS?
So these are the SMSs, like one's 3 hours prior and one is 15 minutes.
What's the
15 minutes
email?
prior.
Okay. This is text, and then the other.
This is text. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Got it. All right. I would say just follow the notification thing that we have. We're not too far off of like in terms of how many times you're sending. It's just the message can be slightly modified. All right. Kyle sent something. Cool. All right. Now, what are you doing manually on top of this?
So what I'm doing manually is like, if they don't show up, I send them an email regarding like, hey, did you, we were supposed to get on a Zoom call. Did you want to reschedule? Stuff like that. And that's pretty much it in terms of, if they somehow don't show up on Zoom, I also have a dialer, which I just dial them in and check. And if they answer, if they don't answer, I just leave them a voicemail. So that's pretty much the end of the sales process. I mean, for no shows.
So let me ask you this. When you hopped on some of these calls, how was the desire factor? Forget the money and how was the specific desire factor these people had?
Gotcha. So my initial offer, which was get monetized within within 90 days. So monetization is like either you get monetized by the platform or you start getting brand deals, right? So there were like two scenarios. So when it was that, it wasn't so much so the desire was, oh, I'm going to get rich quick. But a lot of those calls, like out of the 14, like 10 calls were like, what is this about? Like, how do you do it? It was mostly that instead of like, oh, I really want this, like sign me up. So it was more curiosity versus, oh, just sign me up already. So
you're always going to get a little bit of percentage of curiosity. That's just how it is. But again, it's like, I think this goes back to like the offer, right? If we're going into something that is very new, it's like, yeah, of course they're going to be curious. And I think, like I said, man, the best example, even myself, I'm looking at it from my perspective. I know when you first explained, I was like, oh, cool. And then when you actually explain the deliverables of what you do, I'm like, man, this is like a big 8-figure offer, but no one even knows it. I couldn't even tell from the market, right? So you're, in a way, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like you're really, really, really good on the back end. You know what I mean? And then maybe like the timing is just potentially not right. Not to say that you can get creative as well with the marketing, and we can have another chat after. Like if you really want to stick with this,
for sure,
you definitely can, and maybe we can figure out how to still position this a little bit different.
Definitely early, but I still think I can do things a lot better. Like for instance, like email follow ups. Like I'm also using LinkedIn Sales Navigator and Dripify. I told you this, and I tried an email campaign for the people who scheduled but didn't show up. So I sent them like 2 emails. But didn't get a response from anyone.
Okay. Are you sending any personalized videos or not before the call?
No.
That's a good one that I use is, again, you're on the ads. You're going to be in the pre-call video. Now you're showing up with their personal text of like a video. Hey, John, this is just Nash. I saw your application. I can't wait to speak to you. I'm really, really pumped. And, just like a little bit, man, these guys, they melt. I swear we had people crying. Like we had someone who's, I'll even send you the video. Her grandma died. She no-showed the call. So my brother's taking calls. My brother was like, hey, make her a quick video. We were walking upstairs. We popped open the phone. We're like, hey, just let us know if you need anything. There's zero pressure, zero anything. You don't have to book in again. It's just like, let us know if we can help. She started crying. She's like, who are you guys? Right? And like if you come across as like you care that much about people, oh my, like these people will line up like anything else, right? And it's just, again, sales at the highest level is just pure, you want to value the customer so much that you even put their interest beyond yours. And sometimes, man, like, I don't recommend this, but sometimes we even work for free. Like if someone can't, let's just do it, right? And they're like, who are these people, right? Because the money's good. Money's very, very important, but that's not the only thing here, right? That's not the only thing. So that's just a good philosophy to live by. People really sense it.
For sure.
But yeah, cool. So your show rate. So again, the video definitely helps. My show rate used to be about 75% when I was first on the offer, right? Like my personal show rate. So my brother was booking in calls for me. I would make the small little videos, 20 seconds, man. That's all it takes. Each person, 20, 30 seconds, you're good to go. Right? My brother took it up a notch. So he even like for every follow-up, for everything, he just makes a quick little video. And he just tries to have me. I'm just sitting there in the corner. I mean, you guys might have gone, some of our clients might have gone to those videos. I'm just sitting in the corner and he's like, hey, just give a thumbs up. I'm like, okay, cool. Right? So personalization factor, people want to buy from people, right? That's just that. So that will help with the show rate. And then also one thing that you can add if the desire factor is low, and this is something that, we'll have to do a whole training on, but it's an assessment form that we also launched for ourselves because we also realize like, man, the desire factor isn't as high as we would like it to be. For whatever reason, maybe the market's changed, whatever it is. So we added a little form that basically the closer sends personally. So it's not automated. It's a personal email that they send. It's like a financial freedom assessment. You can call it whatever you want. But basically what that is like how much, like for example, how much they currently make, and how much do they want to make, and what do they feel like is kind of the way that is not allowing them to make the money that they want to make. And we're asking that question not only for the context for the closer who can actually, position the call in that specific way, but also to create that internal pressure. It's internal of like, why am I not actually making this money? No one thinks about it, right? Like if you write something down, you're already 50% to the goal. No one writes things down. No one has they feel like they don't have the time for it, whatever it is, too much dopamine in the world. So that assessment is just purely there to increase that internal pressure of like, I need to do something right now. right? And again, what does that do? It gets them to start thinking like, okay, my life kind of sucks, and it's just going to help them come to that call with a little bit more desire. Is that making sense? I'll shoot you over the questionnaire, and we can do a longer training on that. But that should help as well. We increase your show rate slightly by that as well. And it's all a game of like inches, right? Like if you increase your show rate by 10%, you're going to make 10% more revenue. That is really that simple, right? So like that's why marketing is the biggest lever you can pull. The next thing is sales, right? It's like these are the levers that we want to pull. So that should really help with your what do you call it? Show rate there. Now, go ahead.
No, I was just reiterating.
Perfect. In terms of your close rate, how many live calls to close deals that you've had? Is it 7%?
Yeah, 7.4%.
Okay, how many live calls did you have again? What number? 14, right?
Yeah, just
14, and then you close one deal, correct?
Right.
So, okay, 7%. There's definitely a little bit of a skill set thing here, because you're hopping on calls and you should be around 20-25. I mean, like with B2B is like 25 to 30%, especially as the founder. Like you could be pushing 50 plus, by the way, but just like, to stay on the lower end, 25-30% is like pretty, I'm not gonna say nothing's easy, but like you could definitely achieve that, right? So 7%, I'm not going to hold you too hard on that just because 14 calls is not that much data that we have. But I do feel like we could have closed a little bit more. Why do you feel like you got only one deal in from here?
Yeah, so the other person, I spoke to a total of 3 people that were really interested. One had a money sort of issue, like he just couldn't afford the services. And this other one he's still in the pipeline, but he's buying time, I guess. So I'm in communication with him, but that's also going to be like a strategic thing.
On that one. What do you mean he's in the pipeline, buddy?
Yeah. So he's still thinking about if he really wants to work with an agency, because he's been soloing it, and he also has a 9-to-5, and he does like a podcast on the side, and he has like 3 other hosts, and they do this thing on the patio, sort of friends recording and talking about the community, talking about social issues and stuff like that. So it's like decision making, it's budget, it's a mix of things, but we're in touch. That's what we're thinking.
And then what about the third one?
The third one, so she is currently a client, and we just did strategic planning. So I have this one offer in which you don't have to sign up month to month, or it's not a retainer, and you can just like come in and we do like strategy for 3 months for you. Like we create the whole plan and then you execute it yourself. So it's like DIY, do it yourself, and we just give you the and she also like gave a testimonial, and her numbers are great, and she's super happy. So that's the pivot that I wanted to discuss with you. Like if I pivot just to the strategic side of things, the average order value will come down, but maybe I can increase like the volume of sales or volume of closing.
Yeah, what are you thinking on that exactly, like numbers wise?
Yeah, so in terms of number wise, I think I did come across people who have that kind of money, like within the 14 that I spoke to. But at that point, I wasn't really offering a low ticket service as low as like $1,000, right? And when I closed this client and she's getting the results, then I thought maybe people do have like 1,000 to spare. And a lot of people are having issues with deciding what kind of content to create or what to post and how to post it.
You said something, I try to listen very closely. You said something like, you feel like some people have 1,000 to spend. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So the people that I spoke to, the 14, like they did have, I mean, when I was speaking to them about our services, they're like, oh, I thought we were working with an agency that would, spend that kind of money, like as low as 2,500 or 50,000. But at that point, my pricing was a bit too high. So I know, like I can. So it was starting at 2,500, and they were hoping for lower.
Real quick, are you open to a perspective on that one?
Sorry,
are you open to a perspective on that one of what you just said there?
Yeah, sure. For sure. Here's
what we believe. And this is a sale you need to make on yourself, right? Everything that we tell our clients, we have to do it to ourselves first, right? It's all leadership based. If we feel like 2,500 is too much money, and that's our belief, living in America, where people have, I mean, man, $2,000, anyone can. By the way, this is a really good tip for all you guys. Tell people to sign up from PayPal credit, even if they're homeless, as long as they have a social security, they can get $2,000 right there. So anyone who tells me like, oh, I can't get my first client, or like there's like, man, anyone with a social security can get $2,000 from PayPal credit, and they can pay you for your services. I don't care what, you know what I mean? It could be like it could be the smallest thing you offer, whatever it is. Like you can already have an agency making, having a client within like your first day if you really, really wanted to, right? So it's like, if we feel like 2,500 is a lot of money for people, that is a limiting mindset. We've coached people who legit are homeless, $10,000. They've sold their motorcycles, they sell their cars, they get funding, whatever it is. There's always a way out for that. So like, yeah, I just wanted to reiterate of like, that's never a problem.
I just want to clarify. I'm not saying it's a lot of money. I'm saying they said that they thought it was a lot of money. And I thought they were looking for more than like 1,000.
Yeah, of course they're going to say that. That's just how, for them it's a lot, but like, I mean, that's why they're here for your help, right? Of course it's a lot for them, but it's our job to give them that perspective of like, there's a way out though, right? So that's why what's really, really important, without going into we don't even go into the price. The price doesn't even matter. That's just a logistical objection. Anyone can raise $10,000, $20,000. Well, there's no problem. If their mom needed that money, they'd have it in 2 hours, right? So money's never a problem. The process, I want to get their desire factor of like, this is the process, this is the system. Do you feel like this is the fastest, quickest, most efficient way to get to your goals that you're looking to get to? If the answer is no problem. There's a sales and marketing issue that we need to address. Once we get their buy-in, once we get a really strong tie down of like, this is what you need, perfect. Now let's move on to the money. For them, it's going to be like, oh man, that's my life, save whatever, no problem. We'll work that out. And now you come in as the person to help them coming up with different solutions. Like I just gave you that PayPal one. Anyone can get $2,000 just like that tomorrow, like for their business, right? That's no problem there. So that's a way to position it. But if you continue to get this objection of like money and like, you're not addressing it, of like trying to make it work for them logistically, then there could be an issue with the call itself.
Well, why is it too much money? That'd be my question. Why would 2,000 or 2,500 or 5,000, whatever the dollar amount, why is it too much money?
These people are looking to make like $10,000, right? They're looking to make $10,000-$20,000.
Yes.
Isn't that a lot of money?
Yeah. So when I was running that offer and the prices were high, these were people who were working 9 to 5. Oh, I'm a factory worker, so I really can't pull that kind of money at the moment. Stuff like that.
But that still doesn't really answer the root of the question. Like not saying, oh, I can't come up with it. But why is 2,000, 2,500, whatever the dollar amount is, why is that too much money? Is it because they don't see the value in it? Or is it because they actually can't afford it? Is it because they found something cheaper that they think will work better? Like what is the actual objection?
They actually couldn't afford it. As per like my conversation with them. Like this one guy who was in the pipeline as well. Like he was really interested, but he's like, work something out for me. I'm a factory worker. I don't have that kind of cash laying around. And even if I was ready to like break down his payments, and I use this integration with Stripe. It's called Pay Them. I was happy to like break it down, but he just couldn't. So yeah.
Okay. Quick question. So Nash, you seem very analytical, very competent in the back end. How much sales experience do you have?
Not much.
Okay. With that, there's some things that you might want to research and read and get into that, like question-based selling or things like that. That might help this whole process out. Because, and I'm new to marketing here. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know sales. And when I get those objections, that's not the objection. So you have to drill down deep to find out what the actual objection is, in my experience. And
100%. John, you're absolutely right.
So you might want to, question-based selling might be a good resource for you. Just read it, listen to it on audiobook, something like that. But it sounds to me like it's the interaction, and I could be completely wrong. And if I am, I'm sorry. But it sounds like it might be that interaction. It might just be a couple little tweaks to your process. I'm not saying change the whole process, just maybe tweak a word or phrasing and urgency, something along those matters. Because when I'm listening to you, I'm seeing some tweaks that could be made just on that. And I'm not saying change everything about you. I'm just saying a few words, a few phrases, that kind of stuff.
I totally agree. I think I need to drill down more on like why. I mean, either it's a value thing or it's actually they don't have a money thing, but I can definitely look into it, especially the question based.
And the quickest way to get it is just a call review. Right. So next few calls you have, if you can just review, like record them, and then we can even like do it live here, like with everyone, right? And then maybe even John can give feedback. I know Chris is pretty, he's had a car dealership experience for like 20 plus years. We have a lot of really good sales skills here. So we're going to be able to help you out there. But yeah, just like John said, there's definitely something going on in the sales process, and it's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be things you screw up on. We always screw up on things. That's just how it is. But it's like the reviews and like the coaching is just there to give us the best chance of closing deals, right? 10% of people will never buy. I don't care what kind of, that's just what it is. And 10% will always buy. Or like they're ready to go unless you unless you majorly screw up, they're ready to go. The remaining about 70 to 80%, that's what we call like fringe deals. That's like the ones that are those are the ones that your actual skill set is going to come in. Are you going to be able to close those, or are you not going to be able to close those? That's what we're actually going for, right? That's the thing that like makes or breaks a business, right? So that's all it is. But I like, overall, again, I don't want to be too harsh on this because it's only 14 calls that you've had. You closed a deal, which is really good. I'll tell you, man, it took me 37 deals to close a single. I couldn't close a single deal. It took me 37 calls. Like, imagine the mental thing that you go through is like, man, can I not talk? Like, you know what I mean? Like, all these things start to happen. You already closed your first deal. Really good job on that. But we want to be around 25, 30% or so, especially as the founder.
I agree.
Especially as the founder. And then you get the cash flow. You can outsource the sales part, right? So
no, for sure. The other two have to be in the bag. I think I really need to like push and close them somehow. So I'm gonna figure out a way for that. The other two that we need some
sort of commitment, right? Some sort of commitment is very, very important. So again, just go ahead and record your calls, send them to us. I'll review it. Like, we have people in the community who can help you out there as well. But yeah, that's the next action item for you. Cool.
Also, sir, I think Chris is raising his hand.
Oh yeah.
Chris. Where is that?
Hey, Nash. I think one of the things that I'll say that I think John had a good point is in saying that you're the expert in your niche, and it doesn't matter what you're selling. One thing that I would always tell my salespeople is put yourself in that person's shoe and pretend that you're sitting in that chair on the other side of that phone and you're listening to yourself selling them. What is it that you want to hear? What is it that I want to hear from Nash? Now, not to say that money isn't the issue. There's a lot of times that money is the issue, and they can't come up and they're making minimum wage. They have bad credit. The credit cards are over the limit. What have you? There's always going to be that percentage that is true. But in a higher percentage, there's a lot of people that just need to hear that one thing that they need to hear from you to make them go overboard. Even if they don't have the money, they'll go after and go find that money. They'll sell a kidney if they have to, believe me. Right. But it's that value and that pain point that you have to actually dig in and ask them, what's the biggest problem that you have in your life? How can I help you? And then put yourself in that and pretend you're asking yourself and then address that same question. And I'm pretty sure your show rate or your closing rate is going to go up significantly.
And it goes back to those questions.
Always pretend that you are them. What do you want to hear? Put yourself in their shoes.
And same thing goes with marketing. Most people, they're like, oh, my logo's off by 2 centimeters. Nobody cares about your logo. That's the reality, right? The branding, and I'm talking to myself first, man. I wish we could get the time back that we used to spend 3-4 months of like, oh, I want this specific color code. yeah, when you get to a really, really big level, branding does matter, right? And that's the same perspective of like your prospects only and only care about what they can get. So let's make everything about them, from your ad to your VSL to your line. Everything is just specifically about them. Content is at the top of this, right? So viewing, again, like sometimes we have ads that are in a specific way, and then when someone comes to a landing page, it's like there's no correlation. And then people are like, oh, Facebook ads don't work. It's like, wait, there's no such thing as Facebook ads don't work, because all you're doing is you're only and only buying data. That's the only thing we're doing, is buying data. And most people think that they don't work because they don't know how to read the data and they don't know how to make the decisions based off the data that they're getting, right? So it's like if we know, we can know if the ad, the copy, if it sucks, if the image sucks, if the video is bad, if the landing page, like we know all these things, but that's where most people just quickly jump to the assumption Facebook ads don't work. No, not like that. You just don't know how to read it, right? And the same concept goes with sales calls. If you make it only about yourself, like one of the things I was just telling my closers, every time I see a car review, my cortisol goes up. I'm like, why are you not really listening to the client? What they do is they're like, okay, cool. The next question on the script, I'm just gonna ask that. The client just told you, like, man, I just recovered from cancer. I did all, and then there's like, okay, cool. What's your goals? Like, wait, man, cancer? Like you just like let's stop there for a second, right? It's all about the client, from the marketing all the way down to not only the sales but fulfillment as well, right? The operations and everything like that. But yeah, cool. Does that help, Nash? Does that give you a lot of clarity?
A lot.
Yeah?
A lot. Yeah, appreciate this.
Absolutely. Any questions that you may have?
Not at the moment, but I'm sure some might crop up later, and I'm going to bug you with them.
Yeah, no worries. I know we're a little over here, but if there's anything specific that anyone wants to add or any questions that anyone has in general in regards to this, more than happy to kind of go in there.
So Zarar, I wanted to add something. I wanted to say thank you, because some of the suggestions I helped somebody in the that was in the meeting just now, because one of the suggestions you gave really helped. One of the biggest things I did was when you said only make those meetings, only allow the bookings 48 hours in advance, and I've done that, and my show rate has been like close to like over 80% show rate. Like when I do that, the people, they come because I only allow them 2 days at most to book. And that does really work. Like I could say that actually has helped me out get calls, because my next step is working on closing them, but getting the leads, I'm able to get leads very consistently now. So I got that step down. So like if I pause my ads and I start them again, I get calls. Like I woke up today with like two book calls. Like one was like 2 a.m. a call came in, and I had 2 book calls come in automatically as soon as I started running the stuff.
Yeah.
So my ads work really good. So I don't have any problems getting leads anymore at all. The leads started coming in right away. It's just a matter of closing them. But I can say that the book calls, booking them, that definitely works. And one of the things I would say also is that being passive, at least for me, doesn't work. I call people. I found that calling them makes them come better than emailing them. Like rather than sending emails, I give them a call, and that forces them to communicate with me. Like when they pick the phone up, they're like, oh, who's this? And I'm like, oh, this is Jordan. And I talk to them and a conversation starts. But emails and text are passive. It gives them free, they could just ignore it. They don't, but when you're on a call, they have to either talk to me or hang up. And they're not going to want to be rude, so they're going to talk to you usually, and you'll get a conversation started.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's informal. It's informal.
Yeah, I don't like sending people texts. I try to avoid sending emails. I like to call the client. Hey, my name is Jordan. Let's have a conversation. I'm like, I want to introduce you to me. We have a little conversation. Sometimes it's about general stuff we talk about, but I want them to get to know me. And that sets the call up. And I do that with everybody. Every time somebody sends me a discovery call, I'm like, hey, my name is Jordan. You have a couple of minutes. I want to introduce myself. Want you, like, what's your business? Like, what's your name? Like, how are you doing? How's your day? Basic stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
How's your business going?
And they only knew how handsome you were on the other side of the line.
Thanks. You're not bad looking yourself. Yeah, so I try to do it, because really you got to try to kill them with personality. I mean, personality goes a long way. You're really selling yourself. You're selling your personality. I try to take Team J&J's advice, and I try to shut up a little bit. I was on a call today, and I tried to ask questions and listen to what they had to say. What problems do you have? You contacted me for a reason. How's your agency going? What problems you have? And I tried to be quiet and let them talk and tell me stuff.
Remember, Jordan, 2 ears, One mouth.
Yeah. I tried to shut up. I talk. It's kind of hard for me to shut up, but I tried to do it.
But it's a gift, bro. If you shut up, you're in the wrong game. This is
I talked to a few people today. I had a couple of good conversations today. So, I know, and the thing that I know is numbers, and I know how Zarar was mentioning it took him like 30 something calls to get the first client, but I know the numbers. You only need one. You only need one person to take you off. You get one sale, it could be $60,000 deal. One deal.
She got her first. So she got her first, and again, this is one of the perfect case study for you guys to know. She closed her first deal for $16,000. Right, first ever deal. She came to us like a few months ago. She didn't have a logo. She came in. She closed her first deal of $16,000, but she did not stop there. And this is where the entrepreneurial spirit kicks in. She was like, "Cool, I got this for $16K. What can I do to upsell this person?"
Yeah.
The next thing she did, she sold it for $64.
It builds confidence, and you build off of that.
That's all. That's all it is. She sold that same person for $64,000 now. So all she did is like, "Cool, let's just extend the time." Right? Like, let's do a 12-month long contract. Boom, $64,000 right there.
I used to have salespeople that it took them 3 weeks to sell a car, and we would help them, sell their first car. But that high that they would get out of selling a car and seeing the customer drive away, they'd be like, "Oh my God, I want to sell now." I was like, "Chill out, calm down. It's okay. It'll happen." And all of a sudden, a month or two, they're selling 12, 13 cars a month on their own. And then what happens is that they have a good month, and this could happen to any of us. Okay? We have a good month, and then we get stale because we think we know it all now.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
One of the worst mistakes are closers.
That's why we always used to hire rookies instead of people that knew how to sell cars for the last 5-10 years because they had all these bad habits.
So this is for people who are crushing it right now. Here's the thing, and this happens to everyone, and unless you're really hyper aware of it. When you start closing deals, you're like, "Oh God, I figured it out." That's the worst mistake you can make, because here's the thing. Sales is not like that. And what happens is, as a human brain, we're all very, very lazy. All of us. What we're gonna try to do is like, "Oh, I got that sale in. What's the quickest way I could get it next time?" Try that, my friend. You're gonna have the whole month. You're gonna have the worst month of your sales career. For sales, it's the same thing over and over and over again. That's why most people are just like, "Man, I hate it." Chris loves it, right? What do you think?
It's funny. They'd come to my office and say, "I don't know what's going on." It's like, "Well, are you following the process? Did you call the customer? Did you follow up?" No. Well, there's your answer. Go back and do it like you did the first month and see what happens. And those are the ones that became your superstars. Those are the people that I still have. I have so many salespeople in management positions right now. It's just amazing because they followed the system and they kind of went back and then they're teaching what I taught them. It's just.
And on
I gotta
that,
come back and I gotta come back to earth and kind of preach and do what I used to preach. Because we tend to forget, like Zarar's saying, we're lazy. We tend to forget.
well, on that, I have a rule, and I never made a sale until I got 5 no's. So I can close somebody right away, and I didn't make a sale because I didn't get any no's. So that's been my rule of thumb for the past 6-7 years in sales. And Chris, I did some car sales years ago. And I stuck to that, where some people, other car salesmen were like, "Well, how'd you sell this guy 2 cars?" I was like, "He didn't tell me no."
You know what? I'm a little biased, but I will always say this, obviously because I've been doing this for so long, but the car business teaches a lot of discipline. It teaches you how to talk to people. It teaches you how to listen. It's given me a better life at home in communication with my wife. And I think it's just a great teacher for sales, because I have a lot of people that have quit the car business because it's so many hours that you put in there, and they've gone to do well in real estate brokering or real estate or being an insurance agent. It just teaches you a lot of discipline because you get a lot of objections and you learn from it. So Nash, maybe on the side, sell a couple cars.
All right, awesome. And then
That's
Bianca
good.
says on the end of that was a big factor in choosing LMA. Well, I'm not sure what the context was. Bianca, you wanna maybe unmute?
Yeah, just I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Awesome. Hi everyone. I was just giving feedback on the 24-hour time frame with regard to the phone, like booking a call, because that was a deciding factor with me choosing LMA. because I was looking at other different options, and because you guys are so responsive, that is why I'm here.
There we go. Live in action, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Super cool.
Cool. Christian says that's how you build teams. Absolutely. This is the way. Cool, guys. Any last things here that, yeah, Jordan, by the way, just go ahead and submit your call either in the sales channel, or we'll just do it live like next time, because like you are at a very good spot. You're getting leads. Your booked calls are there. For you, the constraint is not that anymore. For you, the constraint
It's just close. It's just for me now. It's closing. I'm getting the leads. So the
That's
hardest, the part I thought was going to be the hardest was getting the leads. Now I get the leads. It's only a matter of closing some of them. That's it.
No, I mean, it is very hard to get leads as well, but you covered that part. Now it's sales.
Yeah.
We're going to cover that, and then you're going to get a lot of clients who are going to be like, how do I fulfill? Right? There's always going to be constraints, and we're going to work on, all these things one by one. So awesome, guys. Any last questions here before we hop off?
Yeah, I have something to say. Like, I have a person I spoke to today. Something had happened with his phone, and he's one of the brokers. And I know how you said if a person doesn't like buy right away, usually, or they say they'll get back to you, usually they don't. But he actually responded, and he's not giving me any no's. So he seems like he's interested. But he told me he has like 30 agents he's working with, like that are under him, and he's working with now. He's super busy and stuff, but he wants to work with me. He wants to touch base with me. So he kind of pushed it off a bit, but he told me definitely to call him and stuff like that. He's being responsive to me. So I think he's one of those people I might have to work on him for like a couple of weeks in order to close anything on him. But he seems promising, but he's very busy. So
for sure, you're not going to close everyone on the first call, right? But yeah, a good way to kind of like see if you did a good job on the first call is like if they ghost you or not. You're always going to get people who ghost. Like there's no way as like 100%. But it's like what I like to view it is like what's the conversation like after the call, right? If our closers are getting globs of text, like paragraphs, we know that okay, we did a pretty damn good job on that, right? So some of the deals, yeah, they're going to be a couple different calls. They're going to be over time, and some of the deals are going to be right there. One call closes. It all kind of depends. Sales is never a straight line. There's all sorts of different types of people, right? We were talking about earlier, right? There's different personalities. And yeah, you guys will see, especially when you start scaling, there's going to be a lot of things that you'll see, human psychology basically at the highest level. Cool. All right. Any last questions from anyone else? Good. Going once, twice. All right. Hope you guys got a lot of value on that. And apologies for my camera. We got this new camera set up, and as we know in business, tech, nothing's ever a straight line. All right. And, was excited to show you guys off my new setup, but it is what it is. Hope you guys still got a tremendous amount of value, and yeah, just use the channels, use us as much as you want, and we'll see you guys on the next one. All right. Take care, guys.